Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. This guy right here is Evil Mike, and I got a review for you today. From DC Comics, we're going to be talking about Batman issue 131. It is written by Chip Zdarsky, pencils by Mike Hawthorne, inks by Adriano Dibenedetto, colors by Tomeu Morey, and letters by Clayton, Cowles. It also has a backup story called The Toy Box Part 1. I'll get to all that info when we get there. I might put a timestamp, be on the lookout for that if you just want to hear the second story or the Batman main story. But before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell if you're so inclined. It really does help this channel. So without further ado, Batman 131, and we're coming off the events of Batman going up against Failsafe at the very end of that story. Superman was badly wounded or possibly dead, we don't know, and Batman looked like he had got teleported to a different crime alley, and that's where this starts off with. Basically some people are robbing Batman. They're going through his utility belt. You can see the dude with the utility belt. She's got like some capsules from the belt, which she thinks are drugs, and we see Batman is in pretty bad shape, but in Batman fashion, he quickly gets up. He starts trying to remember the last thing that happened, and it's shown here. Quickly after, he is greeted by this skeleton character. You can see like right here, a better close up, or here. He does have a mustache and a trench coat. He is named simply as Jimbo. I imagine this to be Jim Gordon, and we kind of get there a little later on. But as Batman, you can see all these like thought bubbles, and that's exactly what they are. Batman's like thinking about what he's gonna do, what he needs to do, what's going on. He thinks he was sent, basically teleported to another multiverse. He does realize that this crime alley is different. He thinks he's going through some kind of like multiverse decompression sickness, but as he's going through and talking in his head, Jimbo over here is literally answering him in real life. Like when he says he thinks he's getting multiverse poisoning or whatever, the Jimbo answers him and he's like, nope. So we come to the scene, and basically Batman is trying to figure out what is going on with this Gotham. He stops at I forget what it's called, his brownstone. It's like his mini Wayne Manor or whatever that he's been living in for the past 2 years or something like that. But it doesn't look like anybody's been at the brownstone, so he heads to Wayne Manor, and along the way he comes across a situation where we meet this guy named the Judge, and the Judge is basically going like house to house, and he's basically asking people if they are sane or innocent. He asked this lady, a simple question. She answers like, I don't know, and they tranquilize her. It looks like they tranquilize her, but right here it is shown that the Judge knocks down this other guy's door, and he asks him the same thing, the innocent or insane, and this time he's like, oh, but there is a third option. I can kill you, kind of thing. I can bring death, As soon as this happens, that's when Batman intervenes, or I should say Bruce Wayne. He quickly tries to take down this guy Judge. He quickly notes that it looks like this guy Judge is infused with like a different type of Bane venom, but nothing that Batman can't take out. He does eventually have to do some pressure points to quickly take him out, and there's a line that the Judge says that leads to like who he really is, but he says something about standing in the way of justice, and Bruce Wayne comes to the determination that it is Harvey Dent. And sure enough, quickly after that, he's like, yes, I am Judge Dent, you will face judgment. As soon as this happened, that's when the other scene happens. There's a whole bunch of like cops that try and come in. Bruce Wayne quickly like beats the tar out of them, in badass Batman fashion. We do see Firefly pop up, and Firefly does mention something about, don't worry, I got him. Either Firefly is working for the police, or and that's what I have to assume, and we'll get into that a little later, because he's definitely not working with Bruce Wayne. But Bruce Wayne does mention that, Firefly is dumb in all universes, and you can see the Firefly is cooking the other cops and that Harvey Dent guy. And before all this happens, it shows that Bruce Wayne saves this lady. As Bruce Wayne's trying to flee the building, Judge Dent grabs him and throws him back, and is about to land. He already lands like a massive punch on Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne does try to do this baseball bat thing to no avail. Once Dent throws this massive punch and kind of woozies Bruce Wayne, he's about to go for another one, and you can see right here, if I can move my hand, that these little shrinking knives, hit Dent's face, like two of them just, Dent screams in horror, and we kind of see who it is. It's this girl, and she's screaming to Bruce Wayne, "Come on, man, we gotta go," and Bruce Wayne ends up grabbing her, and grabbing a railing for support as they get the way to safety. They do make it back to the safe house, and that's kind of where we find out who this girl is. And I'm drawing a blank at her name. I should have wrote it down. But basically, once they before they get to her safe house, they get in the car, and Bruce starts asking himself, and Jimbo answers him, but he's like, does Batman exist in this in this world? And then basically Jimbo's like, hey, that's the $1 million question. We jump over here to Miko, and I'm assuming it's this version of Catwoman, and she's having this conversation with this guy that has been stealing, is supposed to be stealing from her, but has been stealing off the top and then bragging about it. It kind of looks like she kills this guy, or maybe knocks him out or something. But she ends up getting a phone call from this individual over here, and he's like, hey, and he sends her a picture, and it's a picture of Bruce Wayne. And basically, he's like, hey, this is your top priority, drop everything, I want this guy alive. And then we get this panel where it cuts over to that guy, and we see who he is. I'm not aware of who he is, but he states that he has been waiting for Bruce Wayne. And you can see he's nefarious, because there's a bunch of guys, this guy's got lightning coming out of his face or eyes, or I don't know. But we jump back over to where this girl took Bruce Wayne to the safe house, and they're kind of introduced. Her name is Julia, and she goes by Jewel, and that's kind of all we know about her. Besides the fact that she can throw the stars or whatever. We do get the scene right here as Julia leaves the room, and Bruce Wayne kind of has this conversation to himself, or with Jimbo, because Jimbo's in the room with him. There's some things to note that the girl never mentions Jimbo, so I'm assuming that Jimbo is in Bruce Wayne's head or something like that. But it's coming to the realization that in this world, Bruce Wayne is dead, that he doesn't exist. That's why there is no Batman. And it's kind of leading to why Jim Gordon looks like a skeleton. Maybe in this world, everybody on the good side end up dying. We have seen one, good / bad character being Miko. She's a thief and not really a villain, but it seems like she is kind of a villain in this universe. But Batman does at the end state that Failsafe sent him here as a blessing. It was supposed to be the thing that he changed in Failsafe's programming. He changed his morality, and supposedly that's why Failsafe sent him here, because it's a world without Batman. It's a world that Batman can save, and that's why he sent him here. We are now at the Toy Box Part 1, which is the secondary story. It's supposed to be about Tim Drake, and we start out with Toyman, and he's basically having this conversation with himself about something's changed, and now he exists in a world where he's their god, and that's kind of where it leaves us at with that. It jumps over, and we're kind of dealing with the aftermath with Tim Drake and John Kent, John Kent, and they show him right there in Superman. But he was either badly wounded or deceased, we don't know. But then Batman got teleported, so, Tim Drake's just basically like freaking out and, trying to deal with the loss. But not only that, but he knows Batman's alive, he knows he's been teleported. Failsafe destroyed the gun that did, so they don't have any clues on that. But Tim Drake is pretty much set on finding and rescuing Batman. We jump over to the scene where it's like a bunch of Joker goons that have this couple kidnapped, and they're gonna kill them. They hear something at the top, and we see Nightwing come in and start beating up on the Joker goons. One of the Joker goons is this guy right here named Jeff. He's supposed to be one of the main members, and now he's going by Cut Up instead of Jeff, the Joker goon. But Nightwing ends up kind of, I wouldn't say he's in trouble or something like that. He could have handled the situation, but he does take a blow from this Cut Up guy, and all of a sudden, Tim Drake kind of pops down, beats the hell out of Cut Up in one hit, and they kind of tie up all the goons. They go up on the rooftop, and they kind of have this conversation about Bruce and Batman, and basically stating that Nightwing kind of has the same belief as Tim Drake does. He knows that Batman is still alive, and the whole conversation is centered around the world that everybody keeps telling Tim Drake that Batman is dead, and Tim Drake believes and knows that Bruce Wayne is still alive, like we know, because this has happened before with Bruce. He got zapped by the Omega beams by Darkseid and was teleported through time, but he did end up coming back, and there were some that just believed he was dead. But basically, it's this conversation about hey man, you just need to we need to, Nightwing tells Tim Drake we need to protect Gotham. That's what Bruce would want us to do. Tim Drake kind of, he states, yeah, I get that, but at the same time, we gotta find Bruce. He was like, you weren't there for really there during this past year with the whole our thing going on, and Bruce hasn't been 100%. He's been going as Batman 100% of the time, and I know he needs rescuing, and that's basically where Tim Drake kind of leaves off. There is a conversation about that, because Barbara calls, and I want to say she calls she calls Nightwing, and she basically reveals that Toyman killed himself. In some kind of late news or something like that. It says, yep, Toyman killed himself. And that's where this leaves us off. Man, but what a fantastic issue. I know that secondary story is kind of dry, but or for me it was. But honestly, it's setting the tone for a lot of things that I think is dope coming up. But let me know down below if you read this. What are you thinking about? What are your thoughts on Jimbo? This whole new, I don't know, there's a lot going on. I don't really have a whole lot of speculation yet. I know the more it sits in, it will. But let me know down below, are you digging this? What about the new art change? This is a brand new arc. I don't know. Let's hear it. Alright guys, I'll have more reviews for you coming later. Definitely today. Be on the lookout for that. I can say Specs and some other ones. I don't know. Alright guys. Bye!